Clint Eastwood. Picture a crowded hotel lobby in Beverly Hills, 1993. The awards are done, the champagne is flowing, and the room is buzzing until one cocky young star does a cheap impression of the quiet legend standing by the piano. The crowd laughs. The legend doesn't. He finishes his drink, nods to the bartender, and walks out. No scene, no comeback, just a silence that felt like a verdict. Years later, people still whispered, "What did he hear, and why did that actor's name stop showing up on studio lists?" With this man, silence wasn't a pause, it was a full stop. That man was Clint Eastwood, and for decades, he didn't air grudges, he buried them. No rants, no press tours, no subtweets. If you crossed his line, he didn't shout, he shut the door. Now, at 94, a few rare comments and old flashpoints paint a pattern. 5 names, 5 moments, and a code that never blinked. First up, Michael Moore. The year was 2005, an awards night packed with cameras. Eastwood stepped to the mic and, deadpan as a desert noon, said, "Michael Moore and I have a lot in common. We both like documentaries. But if he ever shows up at my door with a camera, I'll kill him." Nervous laughs ripple. No smile, no wink. Translation? Boundary set. Why the frost? At the time, Moore's firebrand style, coming off a controversial war-era documentary, struck Eastwood as spectacle, not stewardship. Eastwood had just poured himself into stories like $1 Million Baby and was steering into war pieces that wrestled with sacrifice and cost. To him, some subjects demand reverence, not ratings bait. After that line in the sand, their paths never crossed again. No panels, no collabs, just distance, and a warning everyone understood. Then came the clash with Spike Lee, a rare instance where Eastwood actually fired back. In 2008, Eastwood's twin war films, one from the American side, one from the Japanese, were praised for scope and restraint. Spike wasn't impressed. He called out "Flags of Our Fathers" for failing to show black Marines who fought at Iwo Jima, arguing you can't tell the story while leaving crucial faces outside the frame. Eastwood's answer? Ice cold and blunt. A guy like that should shut his face. Spike shot right back. For 4 days, headlines crackled. 2 giants arguing not just about a movie, but about who gets to shape the memory of a nation. Eastwood's stance was rigid. This was a focused story about a specific group of men. He wasn't punching a checklist, he was chasing his version of truth. Spike's stance was equally firm. Truth, without inclusion, distorts reality. No middle ground, no reconciliation, just a principled standoff that never thawed. Enter Leonardo DiCaprio, a different kind of test method versus gunslinger. Eastwood cast him as J. Edgar Hoover in 2011, and the industry was buzzing. But their styles? Night and day? DiCaprio lives inside the moment, multiple takes, relentless questions, digging until he catches the pure heartbeat of a scene. Eastwood is a sniper. Quick setups, minimal rehearsal, 1 or 2 takes, move on. On set, you could feel the friction. No fights, no walkouts, just 2 masters playing different sports on the same field. Leo tried to adapt. Clint didn't. The movie shipped, the press rolled, and that was it. No second act. Eastwood routinely reteams with actors who fit his rhythm. DiCaprio never got the call. Was it ego? Was it pace? Maybe neither. Sometimes, a creative language barrier is its own goodbye. Public barbs? That brings us to Seth Rogen. In early 2015, Eastwood's American Sniper detonated at the box office and divided critics coast to coast. Rogen tossed out a tweet comparing it by implication to the propaganda film inside a World War II movie about a Nazi marksman. He later clarified he wasn't calling the film propaganda, just making an association. But the damage was done. For Eastwood, that wasn't critique. It was a drive-by with a punchline. And he doesn't settle scores with threads, he closes the book. From that moment, Rogen's name was never going to find a home anywhere near an Eastwood project. You can debate the tweet, you can debate the movie, but you can't debate Eastwood's code. Disrespect earns the quietest punishment of all exile. Finally, the one that surprises people, Gene Hackman. Two titans sharing the screen in Unforgiven, a film that rewired the Western and swept the awards. On camera, electricity. Off camera, frost. Eastwood runs a set like a good watch. Silent, precise, no wasted motion. Hackman? A force of nature. He'll stop a scene, challenge a line, push for rewrites. One day, mid-scene, Hackman balks. That line doesn't work. I'm not saying it. Eastwood just looks at him, calm as ever, and says, softly, "You will." No shouting, no theatrics, just finality. The film hit like a thunderclap, and they both walked away winners, but they never worked together again. Respect? Yes. Warmth? Not really. With Eastwood, trust is oxygen, and once it's thin, he doesn't stick around to gasp for more. So what ties these stories together? Not rage, not ego, discipline. Clint Eastwood has always acted like the characters that made him a legend. Economy of words, clarity of line, consequences without speeches. In an industry where everyone performs their conflicts for clicks, he's always preferred the older code. You cross the boundary, you don't get a showdown, you get silence. And that silence echoes longer than any headline. Now, was he right? Is silence a noble form of strength, or just another way to duck accountability? With Michael Moore, you could argue the subject matter was too raw for ambush tactics, and the boundary was fair. With Spike Lee, you can see both sides, the integrity of a specific story versus the larger truth of who gets shown in the frame. With Leonardo DiCaprio, maybe there's no be-hide, villain, just two artists with clashing tempos. With Seth Rogen, the joke may have been casual, but the wound it opened wasn't. And with Gene Hackman, maybe one masterpiece was the natural limit of two alpha talents sharing a single ring. Here's the thing. Eastwood's career is proof that consistency can be its own superpower. He keeps his circle small. He moves fast. He protects the tone. And when someone tests the code, he doesn't swing back, he steps away. That's why the legend lasted. That's why the rooms still go quiet when he enters. The silence isn't empty, it's policy. So, what do you think? Did Clint Eastwood handle these moments with old-school honor, or did the quiet cut too deep? If you were in his boots, facing a public jab, a creative clash, or a fight over the shape of history, would you respond or walk away? Drop your take below. I read every comment. And if you want more untold stories about Hollywood's fiercest codes and the names who passed or failed the test, hit like, tap subscribe, and turn on notifications. Because for every person Eastwood shut out, there's someone he pulled close, and those stories, the ones about loyalty he never forgot, are up next.